As you may be aware, Article 67 of the 1992 Constitution requires the President of the Republic of Ghana to give a message on the state of the nation to Parliament every year. Now, what that message is supposed to entail basically has to do with the conditions in the country. The message on the state of the nation must reflect the true state of the nation. That is what many Ghanaians expected from President Akufo-Addo on the 8th of March 2023 when he went to Parliament to deliver this year's State of the Nation address. Unfortunately, the President failed to give an accurate account of where we are as a country at the moment and how we got here and what is being done to bring us out of the mess we currently find ourselves in. And that is why we, as the only viable opposition in this country and the government in waiting, were duty-bound to organize the true state of the nation address event we organized today at the University of Professional Studies to set the record straight and to present to the nation our counter narrative based on facts and truth. Because the people of this country deserve to know the true state of affairs. Not everybody knows the true state of affairs. Yes, they live the state of the country on a daily basis, they experience it, but not everybody has information on how we are faring as a nation in various sectors and the factors that have accounted for that. And so there was very good reason for the program we held today.
Right. It's interesting you talk about this being your impact on what they say the true state of the nation, because the NPP statement, which we'll put on as we go on, also say they are going to respond to your true state of the nation with another true state of the nation records, sort of. But I've heard some of the NPP members say that in the President's State of the Nation address, he admitted that we are in a crisis. To you, that's not truthful enough?
Well, two things are instructive here. It is one thing to admit that we are in crisis, and it is another to act as a person in crisis. You see, the president admits that, yes, we are in crisis, but he is not acting as a leader whose nation currently finds itself in a crisis. You cannot say that we are in a crisis, yet you are maintaining over 333 political appointees at the presidency in many superfluous and ridiculous positions. You cannot say that you admit that we are in a crisis, yet continue to abuse the public purse with reckless abandon. Continue to waste the little resources we have left as a country. For example, you cannot say that you know we are in a crisis and yet spend a whopping 15 million cedis, equivalent to 150 billion old Ghana cedis, on the procurement of car batteries and car tires in only 9 months of 2022. You cannot be spending 4.8 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 48 billion Ghana cedis, on just one cabinet retreat outside Accra and say that you admit that we are in crisis. You cannot be spending in excess of 10 million Ghana cedis, equivalent to 100 billion, on just the Independence Day celebration we had in Cape Coast last year and tell us that you know we are in crisis. You cannot also be spending 7 million Ghana cedis on data and network charges at the presidency alone in 9 months, 6.5 million cedis on the procurement of new vehicles, and so on and so forth. That is in fact an insult to our sensibilities. It's like somebody telling you that, oh no, I know I'm broke, and yet you see the person driving expensive cars, you see the person drinking expensive drinks, wine, champagnes, going to places that the rich go to. There, obviously, it will be clear to any objective mind that there is no candor, no sincerity in that kind of admission. So, yes, the president can no longer deny that we are in crisis. The facts are there, the signs are clear on the wall. Even children can appreciate the fact that we are in crisis. At first, they were denying that we're in crisis. Now, chickens have come home to roost, and so they cannot but admit. But that admission means nothing to the suffering masses who are struggling to make ends meet, and yet have a president who continues to waste the public purse on needless ventures. Again, it is one thing accepting that we are in crisis, but another actually admitting or being truthful about the factors that accounted for that crisis. In the president's address to the nation, he blamed our economic woes entirely on external factors, key among which is the COVID-19 pandemic.
Yes, and which others have been consistent about.
Akufo-Addo, he and his government are not responsible for anything, but rather COVID-19. Clearly, that cannot be the kind of leadership Ghanaians need at this time. Ghanaians need leaders who will be honest about the state of affairs in this country, accept responsibility for where they have gone wrong, and listen to them in humility, even in these difficult times. So when the president says that, oh, before COVID, all was well, and that we are in this mess because of COVID, he is not being truthful. And that is the more reason why we had to hold this true state of the nation address to expose the many fallacies that were peddled by President Akufo-Addo in the so-called state of the nation address to the nation. The deliberate falsehood, the contrived and flimsy excuses that they continue to rehash had to be exposed. My brother, for example, on the claim that all was well with our economy, I'm sure that all objective minds will agree with us that that claim is completely false. Because we're all in this country before COVID struck in the year 2020. We know that before COVID struck in March 2020, our public debt was already within unsustainable levels. Our public debt had moved from 120 billion Ghana cedis as of December 2016 to 225 billion Ghana cedis as of March 2020, before COVID struck. That represents a nominal increase of 105 billion in the public debt stock. And at the time, just like now, the president and his government could not show what they had done with those borrowed funds. Our debt to GDP ratio, which is one of the matrices for measuring the sustainability of the debt of every nation, any nation, had increased from 56% in 2016 to close to 70%. That is if you added the ESLA debt, the action debt, and the other hidden debts.
I see.
The debt service amount, the amount of money as a country we use in servicing our debts, had increased from 11 billion Ghana cedis in 2016 to 37 billion Ghana cedis in 2019, way before COVID. What that meant was that we were spending or using 91% of our tax revenue to service our debts.
I see.
In 2019, we're borrowing to pay workers.
But Sammy, you would also, take cognizance of what the IMF boss herself has said about the impact of COVID on the Ghanaian economy. Bearing that in mind as well, since you make reference to COVID, the president also stated in the State of the Nation address that any claim that his administration misused the COVID funds is not a true reflection of the fact. In fact, he said that the COVID-19 funds were not misused and that all were used on purposes related to, all the monies released were purposes related to COVID. Now, there is an audit report on this by the Auditor General, and this is the president's stance on the use of the COVID-19 funds. He says nothing immoral, untoward happened in the use of COVID funds.
COVID only came to worsen an already bad economy. But aside that, through this COVID, we had unprecedented windfall revenue, totaling 30 billion Ghana cedis to manage the pandemic and to support our economy. Because of COVID, the IMF gave us cumulatively $2 billion. The World Bank gave us close to $1 billion. Because of COVID-19, we received support from the European Investment Bank and other developmental partners. The Bank of Ghana gave us 10 billion Ghana cedis. We went into the stabilization fund and took 1.2 billion cedis, which had been accumulated under the ex-Wal NDC Mills Mahama administrations. Yet, according to the Auditor General, only 12 billion out of this total COVID funds of 30 billion was actually spent on fighting the coronavirus pandemic in Ghana. What that means is that we had in excess of 18 billion Ghana cedis free money to support the economy. Because we got 30 billion and used only 12 billion on COVID. So what did this government use the 18 billion for? And if COVID gave us more than what we needed to support our economy, then how can this COVID-19 constantly become the whipping boy of this reckless and wasteful government? COVID definitely cannot be blamed entirely for our economic woes. How did they spend that 30 billion? Even with the 12 billion they spent on COVID-19, we know from the Auditor General special audit report, that the monies were misappropriated and in some cases looted by government officials. We saw the Kwadwo Nkrumah-led Ministry of Information paying staffs huge allowances, risk allowances that they did not deserve, allowances which were meant for frontline health workers. According to the Auditor General, we spent about 12 million Ghana cedis. That is some 120 billion old Ghana cedis on the procurement of hot meals during a 3 weeks of partial lockdown.
I see. But you see, Sammy, and I just, because this particular point, the NPP has released a statement signed by Justin Kodia Frimpong, General Secretary of the party. I'm going to put that statement on the screen right now. They say that they have taken notice of what they describe as a propaganda-laced press conference of the NDC addressed by your chairman, which you tagged the true state of the nation. You say it was mischievously described as an address on the so-called true state of the nation. True to their unrepentant character, the NDC turned the press conference into a campaign platform, peddling blatant falsehoods, unsubstantiated allegations, and unprovoked attacks at the person of the president, the vice president, and the government of the NPP. Ordinarily, the NPP would not have dignified Esiedun Ketia's empty statement and unmeritorious effusions with a response, since he is no stranger to Ghanaians when it comes to such political theatricals. However, paying regard to the enormity of the allegations and falsehoods he spewed, the NPP has disclosed to set the record straight. Say they are going to set the record straight, Sammy Gyamfi, by responding to your issues with incontrovertible facts and data in order to assist discerning Ghanaians make an informed decision. That's what they intend to do going forward. Sammy?
The statement that has been issued by the ruling New Patriotic Party reinforces our position that this is a hopeless bunch of people who do not know their left from their right. I mean, your president and leader has presented a message on the state of the nation to Parliament already. And the opposition has presented its counter-narrative. Why would you want to organize another State of the Nation address to counter what the opposition has done if you believe in what your president did in the first place? Clearly, by issuing the statement they have issued today, they admitted that the president peddled falsehood. The president's State of the Nation address was weak. It was totally hollow. And they need to come again. The lawyers will tell you that when you see a lawyer giving a reply to a reply in court, then it means that the lawyer's case is very weak. If they had a solid case, I believe that it would have sufficed for them. The president's address to the nation would have sufficed. There wouldn't have been a need for any response from them. But because they know that the statement the president presented was hollow, that is why they want to engage in this back and forth. Well, we are not interested in what the NPP does. Clearly, these are a group of people who, because of the largesse of government they are reveling in, have lost touch with the realities of our people. They are living in their own world, far removed from your world and my world. They don't know what is happening in this country. They don't feel the hardships because they have enriched themselves within a very short period of time. And that is why they would want to engage in this needless banter with us. We spoke to the people of this country who are living witnesses of the true state of our nation. And we will continue to speak to them and not engage the NPP in any needless debate. What are they going to say? Are they going to deny that in Ghana today, childhood vaccines are in short supply, leading to a measles outbreak, and that they had to take Nigeria to save us from this avoidable embarrassment by lending us vaccines for our babies? Are they going to deny that we are currently going through a draconian debt restructuring program, and we are virtually forcing persons who have lent to the government, including...
Well, Sammy, well, thank you. We'll see how the coming days will look like.